Welcome to our webinar on Pearson Mathology. We're glad you could join us. Today we're going to take a look at Pearson Mathology, the next generation of math resources. Mathology is rooted in academic research and best practices. It's co-created with classroom teachers and underpinned by a practical Canadian learning progression for grades K to 9. Mathology helps you know where your students are and define next steps for growth. It helps you engage students at all levels while building confidence in their math skills. It helps instill a love of math through rich, fun math activities and enriches your instructional strategies. It's also important to note that Pearson Mathology is being adapted for French immersion. Several years ago, with the goal of helping to improve teaching and learning of mathematics, we set out to understand what the biggest challenges to success were. Over the past several years, we have done significant research that has dug deep into both the current academic research and the everyday experience of teachers and learners in Canadian classrooms. We've met with district leaders and administrators to discuss their improvement plans, focusing on the challenges and opportunities that they face now and in the future. We've met with academics and are working with them to ensure that our solution is grounded in approaches that work. But perhaps most importantly, we're spending hundreds of hours in Canadian classrooms from coast to coast to coast. We started by visiting over 40 grade 1 classrooms to see firsthand what the reality of teaching and learning is in Canada today. We then went back to over 20 grade 1 classrooms with sample materials to test with teachers and students. We took what we learned and have incorporated that feedback into Mathology and continue to work with those teachers to ensure that the materials will truly be effective in their classrooms. What did we learn? We learned that there's some important challenges to solve with math in Canada. First of all, addressing individual students' needs, very important, as well as uncovering all those curriculum expectations. We know that there's some discomfort with math content and pedagogy. We also know that time constraints there are to planning effective lessons. Time is always an issue. And most importantly, we know there's a need to help create positive math stories, both for students and for teachers. Out of that research came what you see in front of you right now, the Pearson Mathology portfolio for K to 3. I'm going to share that portfolio with you now, starting with the bottom. As you can see, the foundation for Mathology. On the left-hand side, we started with Math Success for All, which is our academic research document that shows all the research that we did across Canada to take a look at the biggest issues in math and made sure that those issues and research are embedded in Pearson Mathology. That was our starting point. We then worked to develop the Pearson Canada Learning Progression, which I'll talk to you a little bit more about in a moment. We also developed a great range of professional resources for teachers to help support early math, from Taking Shape, which looks at spatial reasoning, to what to look for. It looks at early number sense, elementary and middle school mathematics, as well as a brand new resource from Kathy Marks-Grupan called Teaching Math with Meaning, which looks at the competencies in math. Those professional resources are also supported by courses that your district can ask us about if that interests you. That strong foundation, right from the start, helped us then to take a look at how best to develop classroom resources. So across the top, on the left-hand side, you'll see that we've developed math little books for K to 3. We've also developed classroom activity kits for grades 1 and 2. And this year, we're working on Mathology.ca, which is our teacher digital planning tool. And I'll tell you more about each of these components now. I've mentioned the learning progression a few times, so let's go a little bit deeper. You'll likely be familiar with some of the mathematics frameworks such as First Steps or Prime. It's important to note that the Pearson Learning Progression was built off the work of these and other commonly used and well-respected frameworks. It's authored by Dr. Lynn McGarvey in Alberta. The content in learning progression is not new, but during our research we found that when frameworks were employed, the knowledge gathered from using them rarely found its way into the everyday teaching and learning in Canadian schools. In some cases, it was too complicated or too confusing to unpack. The learning progression is a way of showing how big ideas in math grow over time, and it illustrates the connections in math across strands and grades. It also is embedded in all of our resources for Mathology, as you shall soon see. We'll start first with Mathology, the little books and teacher's guides. You'll find that we have 72 titles of math little books from grades K to 3. They're organized around the learning progression's big ideas in math. Half address number strand, the other half addresses the remaining strands. There's a great mix of fiction and nonfiction, and it includes Indigenous content. The little books are highly engaging with real-world context. They're adapted for French immersion, and they include little books for K to 3, big books or lap books at K, and digital versions of each. I'm going to tell you first about the digital versions. You'll find that each print little book has a digital version as well. It's free access to the read aloud version. You'll see it on the back of each little book. There's a QR code and a URL, and that QR code will take you to an audio version that you can read and listen. And you can also try activities. It's great for listening centers. The teacher's guides. Every math little book has a teacher's resource, both in print and digital. They include prompts for meaningful math conversations with a specific math focus, as you'll see on the 2 pages that I'm showing you here. You'll see that there's options for large group, as well as small group, and also learning centers. Every 2 to 3 pages, you'll see a box that's called What to Look For, and those are the prompts for formative assessment. And similar to the math little books, there's a digital version, and it is free. And the Teacher's Guide's digital version includes modifiable assessment masters and activity sheets, as well as a projectable wordless book that you can project at front of class. The benefits of math little books for instruction, there's many. First of all, differentiation, a more personalized learning experience for your students. You can match little books to a child or group's level of math understanding. They provide consolidation of learning by focusing on the building blocks of those math big ideas. They help support classroom management. They help provide targeted math content in whole class, small group, and independent settings. And they support engagement. Engaging stories and activities put math in real-life contexts and develop a positive attitude towards math. The next component that we developed are activity kits. When we were field testing our math little books, teachers asked us to help support them in a different way. Many teachers are constantly creating their own activities to help support student engagement. And when teachers came to us and asked if we could develop these activities to help support Mathology, we said, yes, let's take a look at what that might look like. And we started field testing our activity cards. Throughout the activity card development process, we learned that they needed to be simple and easy to use. We also learned that they need to support the curriculum. And so what you'll see here are grade 1 and activity kits. There's 2 boxes at each grade with over 100 easy to implement activities and games for teaching and learning math at each grade. They're rooted in best classroom practices, thanks to our field test teachers. They're also rooted in academic research. They're co-created and classroom tested with teachers across Canada, and I think you'll see that practicality as I show you the cards in a moment. They're aligned with the Pearson Canada Mathematics Learning Progression, and these are also adapted for French immersion. What's in the grade 1 activity kit? We'll start there. You'll find that there's 101 teacher cards. You'll also find that there are 62 student cards times 10. So each one of those students' cards, you get 10 copies. You'll find that there are 5 double-sided multi-use cards times 10, and these are cards such as the 10-frame card you see there that are used every day. Inside one of the boxes is also our Pearson Canada Learning Progression, and that acts as a really great way to start looking at your activity kit and seeing where your students are and where they need to go next. So let's unpack what an activity card looks like. And so what you're seeing here is one of our teacher cards. And I'm just going to walk you through the features of each side of the card, starting at the top, that orange section. Top left-hand corner, you'll see the strand. This one's looking at the number strand. Right beside that will be the title of the card. This one's looking at counting or counting to 50. And the far right, it's activity 2 for grade 1. Just below the number strand, you'll see that we supply the focus for that activity, the activity time, the group size, as well as the processes and competencies used in this activity. To the right of that is a thumbnail of the student card that goes with this teacher card. To the right of the thumbnail, you'll see the materials used for this activity. And we've also added in here the math little books that work very nicely with this activity card. And to the right of that is the big idea that's being addressed. The white section below that is the lesson plan. So on the left, you'll see the instructions before the activity, what to do during, as well as ways to differentiate. On the right, you'll see that there's a section in blue called consolidation. And this section highlights intended learning connections to prior learning and also misconceptions. And just below that in green, you'll see the what to look for. So these are the practical in-the-moment observational assessment prompts. Across the bottom in blue are probing questions. When we first started field testing the activity cards, teachers asked us if we could develop some probing questions to help them uncover what they're seeing as they're observing their students do the activities. You can observe them, but how do you uncover what they're thinking? And so you need some great probing questions to help do that. And so those are across the bottom in blue. When you turn the activity card over, you'll see side B, and again across the top, the strand. And the title of this is called Helping Students to Progress, What You Might See, Hear, and Next Steps for That Activity. And so the section in the middle follows the learning progression. You'll see there's a quick glimpse into student behaviors and strategies, and there's at-a-glance support to help move students forward along the learning progression. Really great practical support to ensure that your students are engaged in that activity and moving forward on the progression. The student cards, here's an example of both sides of a student card. They're double-sided. They allow for modification, extensions as well. There are 10 copies of each student card, and they're double laminated and can be used for with dry erase markers or counters. So let's take a look at some of the key benefits of the Classroom Activity Kit. First of all, for students, you'll find that there's an entry point for students at all levels with differentiation options. They promote conceptual and procedural understandings with those big ideas, and they help move students along a progression of math learning, all through the lens of purposeful play. On the right, you'll see the benefits for teachers. There's a flexible use in multiple classroom settings, whole class, small group, and learning centers. You'll see effective teacher supports to recognize student strategies and behaviors and identify those important next steps. And there's comprehensive curriculum coverage through rich activities that can be used for concept introduction, practice, or reinforcement, all while saving you valuable preparation time. That was the Grade 1 kit. We've had great success with our Grade 1 kit in schools across Canada this fall, and it gave us a chance to go and talk to teachers using the Grade 1 kit. We asked questions about its use, how we can make it better, but also we took a look at Grade 2 classrooms and wanted to get a sense of what might be the same or different and how we can improve a Grade 2 kit. And so this is what we've learned through our research. First of all, in Grade 2, relative to Grade 1, the gaps in levels of math understanding do increase. So there is a greater need for intervention. And so in the Grade 2 kit, we've included and added new intervention cards to the cards that are already there. You'll see them there, an example of one there in yellow. We also learned that some activities are foundational in terms of helping to build essential math concepts and can be used regularly as a way to encourage practice. And so you'll see the green card on the right, which is the new foundational card. And we also learned that teachers are looking for quick math routines, so small activities that could be used as warm-ups or at any point to encourage practice, comprehension, or fluency. And so we've developed math everyday cards. Again, very, very practical. The Grade 1 kit, you'll see that there's 101 activities. With these new cards for Grade 2, at Grade 2, we actually have 180 different activities that you can access. And that activity kit for Grade 2 is coming out this summer. The next piece that I wanted to share with you is Mathology and assessment. Let's take a quick look at where assessment resides in Mathology. This is a glimpse of all of our products for Mathology, and we've talked about the observational opportunities for assessment with the activity card. We've talked about the what to look fors in the teacher's guide for the math little books. Those teacher's guides also have rich assessment line masters that go with them. As we were doing our research for assessment for Mathology, we did learn that there is a strong need for a diagnostic tool to help assess student readiness by topic. And so this is a new product that we're working on right now, and I thought I'd share with you what we're looking at and what we're building. So what did our research find? We found out that there's a need for a simple to use and administer diagnostic tool to help determine student readiness for the new school year or for new learning of a new concept throughout the year. So specifically, we heard teachers would like to be able to identify students, what students know prior to starting new learning in order to inform instruction. Wanted to spend minimal time running diagnostic assessments during the school year, leaving more time for instruction. We needed practical assessments that are easy and quick to administer and interpret, that also help reveal student thinking and help provide next steps. So we went out and built a product concept that we're currently testing. And this is the concept. It's going to be a diagnostic assessment tool that allows teachers to identify what students know prior to starting a new unit of learning and understand if students are ready for the new learning. It uncovers all strands and key concepts and takes minimal time in the school year to run and interpret. Each assessment is easy to administer, quick to interpret, reveals student thinking, informs instruction, and offers next steps. It also offers professional support for teachers via a QR code that will be on each card. These QR codes are great. They're actually going to take you to short, in-the-moment videos with math experts across Canada, those guides on the side that you would really like to access at any time as you're doing your assessment, that will be there as well. So just looking at the future for this product, and the publication date currently is fall 2018. The format, standalone print, and as I mentioned, they will have QR codes on them, and they will work nicely with a new product I'm going to tell you about in a moment called Mathology.ca. Yes, this new product will be available in French, and I'm going to say stay tuned. We'll be able to tell you a lot more about this as we go through our product concept testing. So the next question we always get is, why would you use the little books and the classroom activity kit together for math instruction? Well, there's some great reasons to use these together. They work great individually, but together they're awesome. So on the right-hand side, you'll see our math little books. They help you with flexibility to match a book to a child's group level of math understanding, whether on grade above or below. They progressively explore each big idea in math through a range of titles. They're a great tool for guided instruction. There's connections with real life between math and literacy, and they help consolidate and enrich. On the left-hand side, the activity kits for grades 1 and 2, they provide great curriculum coverage. They help you quickly recognize student strategies and identify next steps. They easily differentiate math lessons, even in combined grade classes. And they're simple point-of-use teacher PD through probing questions, what to look for, and consolidation. Individually, they work well, but they work even better together. And so I'm going to tell you how. They both provide meaningful learning through rich activities. They promote big ideas in math. They're both based on the Pearson Canada learning progression. They support differentiated instruction while promoting student thinking and math conversation. They're flexible to use in different classroom settings. They provide a variety of fun and engaging experiences. And they're easy to use with built-in teacher support. Tying these pieces together, the other important component that we needed to provide you support with is a curriculum correlation that ties all these pieces together. And so that's what you're seeing on the screen right now. On the left-hand side, you'll see the curriculum expectations from your curriculum. Right beside that, in the column beside it, is how the classroom activity kit supports that expectation. Beside that, how the math little books support that expectation. And to the right, you'll see how all of those pieces weave together nicely with the Pearson Canada learning progression. All together, it makes a really great math learning and teaching experience. The last piece of the puzzle I'm going to talk to you about today is something that we're very proud to be developing, and it's called Mathology.ca. When we were doing our research for Mathology, we took a look at the math teaching journey, and we learned that it's a time-consuming, multi-step process. You start with long-range planning. There's short-term planning. You're teaching and preparing to teach. You're constantly assessing, you're reporting, and you're trying to weave in opportunities for professional growth through professional learning. We know that this is a long journey in math, and we wanted to find a way to help support you in that. So why would we develop Mathology.ca as an online tool to support teachers? First of all, we wanted to shorten the time-consuming task of planning and finding fun and pedagogically sound math activities that address the curriculum and respond to the demand much more flexibly. We wanted to address the inconvenience of using multiple resources for different jobs in that math teaching journey. We wanted to facilitate access to math content knowledge and pedagogical strategies at point of use. We wanted to help encourage and help teachers with assessment, to simplify recording, tracking, and identifying next steps. We also wanted to support instruction and engagement through interactive front-of-classroom tools. So the proposition for Mathology as we're building it, we want to simplify and enhance the math teaching journey through smart use of technology. We wanted to streamline planning, teaching, assessment, and provide access to professional growth. All of that we wanted as well to seamlessly integrate Mathology components. So we've talked about the classroom activity kit, we've talked about the little books, as well as the learning progression and our great professional learning resources. Mathology.ca will be the place that ties all of these pieces together in one place. So what is it? Mathology.ca is a simple online tool for teachers containing rich math activities and pedagogical supports powered by 5 core functionalities. They are search, there's a planning functionality, there's a section for teaching where you'll find your lesson plans. There's also a rich assessment and tracking tool that's digital, and great professional learning support with videos that are those wonderful guide on the sides that you need. So you'll find that Pearson Mathology.ca is aligned to that, your curriculum, the learning progression, while providing rich math activities and pedagogical supports. Stay tuned for more on Mathology.ca. We're currently building it and we're in the beta testing phase. So we've built a great prototype. Now we're entering classrooms, getting teachers to use it and try it and help make it better. So you'll hear more about Mathology.ca in the coming months. Stay tuned. So in review, Mathology is a new math series that provides a variety of print and digital classroom resources. It helps provide targeted professional learning via PD services and resources. It's rooted in academic research, and it's co-created with classroom teachers across Canada. It enables planning and implementation of differentiated learning for students at all levels. It provides assessment tools to allow educators to optimize instruction, both print and digital. It provides you with a smart use of technology, as you've seen. Most importantly, it helps provide those positive, engaging student math experiences to help students love math. And all of these pieces are underpinned by Pearson Canada's learning progression at K-9. What I'd like to share with you before we sign off today is some of the sharing that our teachers who have already implemented Mathology, they love sharing their learning about Mathology on Twitter. And here's some of our teachers sharing what they've learned throughout this fall. This is Mrs. White. She's looking at her super students who are reading their latest Mathology book, Hockey Time, a great book to practice our addition and subtraction to 20. You see Stacy, who's consolidating their learning today by connecting our skip counting activity to the number line. And you'll see here, she's been using the activity cards in the classroom. Those are those student activity cards. Mrs. Bound for grade 1. She says, we're off to a great start. And you'll see here on her bulletin board, one of our math little books for kindergarten called Acorns for Wilea. It's on the left-hand side, and her students are creating their own version of the math little book. It's very creative. And lastly, this is Annalise. She's reviewing ways to make 10 to help us with addition strategies. And I'm glad to hear they loved using Pearson Mathology books in their classroom. So we at Pearson, we believe that every child has the right to a strong math foundation, to feel confident in his or her mathematical abilities, and to have the necessary tools to take on everyday challenges. We also believe in teachers and their abilities to help their students develop happy, empowering, and positive math stories. Thank you for joining us.